This world is broken. The science is outdated, the math is incomplete, and the people are so blinded by greed that they cannot see the way forward.
Wait. You're not thinking of intervening, are you?
It has to be corrected. Knowledge is not a commodity. It has been and always will be their future. Standing in the shadows is no longer an option. We have to teach them to share freely without fear of retribution.
There is too much to teach for just one person.
I know. We will have to recruit more people who think the right way. The people who have been shunned by the mainstream. People who have the passion in their heart for the science.
How do we find all of these people then?
We create an open forum to discuss ideas and build ties. We let everyone have a voice, and we never let greed dictate our path.
What do we call it then? Oh, I got it. The Fringe think tank.
The Fringe think tank it is then. Now let's give them back their destiny and open it up to the world.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nathan, otherwise known as Old Man Builds, and we're here today with the Benefactor. We're here with Gerald, and we're here with HeliArc today, and we're going to be discussing the MEG, and we're also going to be discussing some pole shifts later on. It's going to be an awesome show. So, guys, how you doing?
Doing great, Nathan. How you doing?
Doing great.
I'm doing better than the other day, I'll tell you.
You look better than the other
Finally
day.
starting to go down, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that you're feeling better, Gerald.
5 days, man.
Hey, so I'm having a great day too. It's my very first live stream ever with you guys, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, this is a historic moment right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. So if your viewers haven't looked at my channel yet, I actually do a lot of different stuff. I'm into a lot of things, conspiracy, energy, trying to unlock free energy, different stuff like that, trying to uncover secrets of the universe. And that's about it. So y'all should go check it out, man. I try to post some interesting stuff, and there's some oldies too, some old clips in there that you may like. So
Absolutely. I saw Bearded on there. We were checking that out with the MEG. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, you know what? I got lots of Bearden's videos. I do not have that one. Everybody out there, go check his channel out.
You better get it before they give me the good OCP, because that one gets taken down often. It only lasts about a year or two, and then it'll just vanish on you.
The minute I seen it, I grabbed it and put it in my archive.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, y'all should be archiving everything, man, on these kind of channels, and not just me. Like, go archive everybody's, because one day they could vanish, and you may just never know what
Gerald,
happened.
can you send me a copy of that, or can someone send me a link to that?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, awesome. I have the link right now because it's in I have the window open. So
yeah, because I'll put it in my archive too.
This is his site right here. Just so you guys know, I put it in the description for you, or in the comments. I'm sorry. You know what? Let's start off by talking about the MEG, and let's go into what it is, and I'll bring up the picture of it from your channel, and let's just kind of flow on that just a little bit, because I want people to be able to understand what we're talking about. So give me 1 second.
I put the link out in the comment section for that one video on his channel. Go check it out. I'll shut up now.
You.
All right, I'll go ahead and play this video.
That's MEG testing. Nice. Took one of the magnets out, helped it get a little tighter, flipped that coil around. It does react a little different. I put a 18 volt by 3.5 amp power supply on it, so we got a little more juice. We are running right here 180 out of phase. So let's see what it does. So we got 800 peak to peak on channel 2 and 300 on channel 1.
Look at that baby ring.
That bulb's just acting as a resistor. Help keep it going without locking up. Nice short. I can see it. So yeah.
Okay, so let me just bring up the picture of it real quick. You want to just describe what's going on?
Yeah, so this is actually I can't remember how old that is. When did I upload that? That's like 21.
Like 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, it was an older one.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it's been a while. That was one of my first projects. So it's probably not the best first project, if I'm being honest. There's the little ringers on Above Unity are much better, safer first project. That one can produce some dangerous voltages. And this was the way I have it configured. I was going for low voltage, but it didn't. The effect's not as visible on lower voltages with those big winds, so I ditched that later and went to I think 4 and 5. It was 400 turns on the secondaries, and I taped them. I taped each layer with electric tape. I didn't have any epoxy spray, but when I fired that, I was getting anywhere from 5 kV. The max I think I got was about 40 kV out of that thing, and it was hot. And it was, and then I decided to test it to destruction, and I think I was pumping because I had to look back at my comments. I think it was 97 volts at 11 amps. It was the max my driver would send to it, and I had everything maxed out, and I had it real close to resonance, and I turned it on, and within about 2 seconds, my 2 Wolf Speed MOSFETs burned. They started smoking, and they're rated for like 120 amp pulse, 1200 volt FETs. They were like, at that time, they're like $28 a piece. So they're pretty high end stuff. And then it also burned the driver. It almost fried the scope. So yeah, it wasn't great. And I had a high voltage scope on there. It still started jittering the screen out. So
it sounds like
if you do that.
It sounds like you didn't open the tap a little. You went.
Yeah, well,
poured out, right?
I just wanted to, see what would happen. So
that's what we're doing here too. Yeah, hey, you know what? Take it to the next level. That's the best level to be in.
But to talk a little about the MEG, we talked about it before the show a little bit. But Bearden envisioned essentially what you're doing is you're just sloshing the flux back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Those vertical coils, when one's energized, it saturates the core in that area, and then the magnetic flux is then forced to go to one side, and then you fire the other side, and then it opens the other gate, and then it closes, it pinches that part of the core, and then it goes the other way. And where you collect your extra is the homeostasis wobble back, where it comes back to the center, where it always wants to stay. Everyone knows a permanent magnet, its field wants to stay where it wants to stay. If you go to pushing it around, it'll always try to go back. As long as you don't push too hard and you demagnetize it, which I've never demagnetized a Neo. I have ceramics on accident, but not a Neo. Those are not a good one, of a good size. The little ones I have, the little baby ones. But
so what you're saying is it creates 2 cyclical fields on either side of the magnet. Is that what you mean?
Well, it's one closed loop on one side at a time. So if you imagine, you can't see my mouse, but yeah. So you're sloshing it. You're going from to and from the magnet through, say, the left side.
Yeah.
And then you let that circulate for a very precise amount of time, and then you cut it, and then you energize 180 degrees out of phase the other coil. And they have to be orientated the right direction too, the winds, because you have to play with that, because everyone's will be different. So if it's wrong, it's not going to work right. So everything's got to be right, and it's got to flow together once you fire the coils. But yes, once you do that, you can just slosh it, and you collect off the homeostasis move of the magnet back to its center. So that's how that works. By the way, you are probably not going to pull this off with a Neo like I had in there. And Tim was the first one to bring it up to my attention when we first met. He said, "Hey, I think you're oversaturating the hell out of that." And I said, "I think you're right, because it really is resistive. Like, it doesn't like to move." And then I ended up moving on to other stuff. We worked on different MEGs. I worked on the BIT, the bitoroidal transformer. I have little ringers. They're a little safer.
Something called the Akula Eternal Lantern now?
Yes, that's a ferroresonant ringer. Yeah, ferroresonance. Yeah.
Nice. I'll shut up. You go ahead. I'm horrible for that. You ask Nathan. I interrupt all the time.
I can't remember. So the MEG. Yeah. So if you wanna make a MEG, you're better off. You can use the MEG glass, or try it with the MEG glass, but you're better off with a ceramic like Bearden did, because a ceramic is 1/10 the strength of a Neo. And you got to think, all them guys back in the day, that's what they were using. That's what they had. They didn't have Neos. So they were using ceramic magnets and making things work. Whereas with Neos, I mean, you can make things work, but it's got to be just right. You can't overdo it. You want to be about 80% saturation on the MEG. That's what Bearden said in his book. He said you want to be 80%, and if you get it tuned and everything ringing right at the right frequency for the MEG glass core, which whatever, it depends on what you buy, but it needs to be, it's probably below 10K. So you might have to put some caps on it to lower the resonance. And then you get everything tuned just right, you should be able to pull a COP of 2. And that's not doing the secret, which is peak switching. That is what Bearden was doing with some kind of special resistor or diode that they would burn with high voltage. But you can do the same thing with a varistor, which is a component that's used in surge protectors. It just cuts your spike. And if you configure it right, you can dump that spike into your load, and you can collect even more, because now you're pinching the peak off of every impulse that you're getting out of it, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does, totally. You're doing,
yeah.
The principle is exactly the same of what Nathan's doing with the Tesla coil and I'm doing with the Vortex coil. It's just a different variation. Amazing.
Yeah. Now, you don't want to forget about the bit either, because the bit's a very interesting transformer. You can pull up my short real quick if you want, because I think your audience should hear how quiet this is. Once you have a transformer inductively matched to the frequency just as close as you can get it, which from the factory, they don't do that very well. They're throwing them out. Yeah, it's the bit.
This
right
one
there.
here.
Yeah.
So the bit stands for bitonal
audio.
Oh, yeah. Thane Hine.
Okay, give me 1 second so I can hit play. There you go.
Okay, so it's hooked up now. Now it's really quiet with all those shunts put on there. You like to go crazy, don't it?
Okay, so what you can
Okay,
pause.
so it's hooked up now. Now it's really quiet with all those shunts put on there. You like to go crazy, don't it?
So that transformer's plugged into the grid, but you don't hear nothing. Even when I shorted it, notice how quiet it was. It's just something I wanted to note, because modern transformers, you always usually hear a buzz, especially under a load.
Yeah, they hum.
Yeah, and that one, it did hum, but it's very quiet. But I had to inductively match that. I had to add up all the iron mass and all that. Like, you got to do all that if you want to get stuff right. And then the shunt bar on top, what I was demoing is you can see the back EMF is shooting through that bar, which is what you want with the bit. So Timtron, my partner, he had some interesting effects with the bit. I don't know if I should say much more than that, but he loved the bit, and he ended up breaking his by he was changing something, and he regrets it now, but he should have left it alone. But because it worked really well for what he was using it for. Let's just say that. It makes things run away.
Yeah.
Things run away when that's connected for some reason. So
I get that. I think it's because you've given it a path of least resistance, and while it's flowing, it's collecting from your environment.
Yeah. It's doing something. Because Doug, I don't know if you know who Doug Conzen is, but he's done one, and he did one out of like some kind of bird wire. It was like a plastic coated wire that he uses as a core, but he made one up, and he did a bunch of math, and he was getting like 10 or 15 watts out, but it was real hard to extract it, because the moment you tried to tap it, you would lose the condition, and then it would go back down. So you have to maintain the condition, which there's tricks to do that. There's trips.
Yeah, I set mine at a resonance and then put in the load to it, and that gives it the resonance it needs. So that's how I get around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's a little different. I create resonance and then I use my load as the resistive part. So it defines how much power comes into the system by the very load and the resistance of the load. It's different.
Right.
Yeah.
My methodology is a tiny bit different, more spiritual. I turn it on and I pray.
Yeah.
Hey, I do that sometimes too. Me and Tim, we'll close our eyes and turn away sometimes too.
Yeah.
I think we've all done that a few times.
Yeah. Hope
Yeah.
God don't blow up something.
More than we want to admit, huh?
No kidding. Yeah.
Some of the caps we play with are dangerous. It could kill you if it's full. And you
Oh, yeah.
I
I had
have
a 50-volt cap pop off the other day. It scared the crap out of me. And it wasn't dangerous or anything, but it still scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I got a bunch of little tiny caps that I've been playing with, trying to make a song.
Oh,
Man,
yeah, that's
when they
right.
pop,
How's
they're
that
like,
going?
It's going well, but I need to collect a little bit more caps just to finish to make sure I got it right. But man, the popping, it's like pop, 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 pop. It's just awesome, and they're loud.
I'm really excited for that. When you release that video, that's going to be really cool.
You're going to see me doing this a lot.
Yeah.
Put on your safety glasses and hard hat.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's so cool.
Right.
Your work, HeliArc, on the I don't know what you're calling it, but it's the washer dryer brain fart.
The Samsung Smart Drive. Yeah.
Thank you.
You want me to pull that up?
Put it together. It's a
yeah. Pull up the one with the fire in front of it. Yeah, pull up that
fire
one.
in front of it.
Yeah.
Is that the
He'll
newest
find
one? The 460 volt, 18 pole ECM?
No. Those were just little tests. Yeah, those I was just testing different ECMs as a generator.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look a little deeper, I think.
Yeah, no, so what happened is I dumped about close to about now over 30 videos that I kept private for a long time. So if you look, all my recent uploads are basically the bursts that I put out on the 12th.
Oh,
yeah,
10 days ago.
You'll notice the ones. Yeah.
So I see the Samsung on here, and I'll put it up, but I don't see probably which one you're talking about. I didn't see one with fire.
The dual ECM surge. It should be on there.
Yeah. It's on there.
Look on videos. Just go to videos.
Yeah.
I don't know how to rearrange stuff yet because I need to rearrange those videos.
Hey, what is it called? Dual.
Keep going. Keep going. Right there. Right. Well, right there. Down. Right there. Yeah. No, you passed it. No, that's not it. It's
This
the one
one?
above it. Yeah.
With the gearing?
Fire. Yeah. See the fire? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now I get it.
Yeah.
I've got my hauls adjusted. Now it'll run. We're putting out about 18, but check this out. These ECMs will put out, man, once it gets up to a certain speed. So I might need to go harder 1-to-1. Jumped out of CC. Now we're good. Look at that production. Putting out 300 now. Using 2. Now it's surging up to 800 watts. And that's using 268.
Nice.
It's a bummer it wouldn't loop right there, man. That would be badass. These things are putting out, man. If that thing's right. I know it looks like it was fluctuating a little bit. I may wire those back to Delta and try that. Or I may put a 25, go my 25 on there. I got my chain a little bit tight, but I can go 25 tooth
it gives them ECMs even more of a boost. If I go 24, 25, 25 being the Samsung, it's just barely over one to one. It probably won't matter that much, but it does gain a little speed because that threshold's sharp, man. Yeah, that threshold is sharp, and that capacitor. I need to put a diode there. Oh, I thought I turned it all the way down. So right here, you see that we're putting out fluctuating 280 to 340 or so. It's only costing us 200 to run. I got the driver maxed out. I'm gonna try. Yeah, it starts lugging pretty good. I want to do more low speed. Right there's 23 watts, but we're not putting out much. You can hear it kind of try to drive it though. Now we're pretty much 1-to-1 on the power. Yeah, I ain't gonna do it there. Yep. Still fun though. Yeah. I'm gonna switch some more things around, I guess. I could go Delta, man, but it's nice to have all that current available, but not a lot I can do with it if I can't get it to loop back. Because at that peak, it was bouncing up and down to 800 watts. That's pretty wicked. And that haul, I got it a lot better now than I ever have, and it makes a difference when that's right. So I won't retire that drum yet. And even when I do, I think I'm going to put Neos in it. Well, why not? I definitely don't want to scrap the stator I made, so I figure, you know what? We'll just put Neos in there. Even I thought about spacing them down a little bit so that it's the right distance. But anyway, yeah, I got to watch these wires, man. I got a lot of wires coming out of the motor. That's why I'm dreading that other motor. It's got so many damn wires on there now. But anyway, it's fun. I mean, and there's not very many people doing shit like this. That's what's crazy. And yeah, you know, it's not supposed to work, but someone's got to try. I mean, to me, it's just crazy. Why not test it? You know, some of the stuff we've seen says that it should be there should be something there. So
Right on. Fry it and find out. That's my motto.
Yeah, you're part of the group now. Fry it and find out group.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, so let's see. Let's talk about that. So what we're doing is pretty obvious, right? Mm-hmm. You can trace the wires and see what we're doing. But that surging condition that appears in multiple videos that I have. You'll have to find them, but I mention it, and I'm not like subliminal or anything, but the surging condition is when you're close, when you're extremely close, you're crawling up to the knife edge, and if you just adjust a little bit more stuff, you might see something starting to lope, and then once it's loping real good, you do some more things, and you can actually keep the son of a bitch running. So,
yep.
And we've seen that. We'll just say that we've seen that. And YouTube has seen that too. YouTube could possibly see that right now.
Absolutely.
Do some clicking around on just look on my team's channel, and you might find something interesting. But
I may have to have a look at that. The only guy I knew working on that right now was, well, he hasn't worked on it a little bit. I don't know if you know him. His name's Tristan McNabb. He was using him for go-karts and stuff for a little while. And he mapped out a whole bunch
what's his name again?
His channel name and his name is Tristan McNabb. He uses alternators for motors on little scooters and little bikes that he builds. But he originally started out with your stator system and your system. And he's got it's all mapped out. 12 volt, 36 volt, 120. The way that you wind each stator. He did a lot of mapping. Yeah.
Is he the guy that 3D printed some Hallback array for one of those?
I don't think
He
so.
He put it in the drum. I've been looking for that video and I can't find it because he had a FOC driver on it, and that's what I want, but I can't find his video anywhere. And he put
I know what guy you're talking about.
I can't
remember his
figure it
channel.
out.
You know what? I think I might have that video in my archive. I'll write a note to myself and I'll try and look for it. But I'm not going to promise anything because my archive's like 5 terabytes. So
we have a question here for you.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on the Cunel device? CUNEL?
I haven't looked into that, so I'm not familiar with it. I'd have to see a diagram and look at it for probably a few minutes. But someone's what's the name of that again? Where'd that thing go? Where'd that thing go?
Cunel, KUNEL. I don't know anything about it either.
I got a pen here, so I can take notes. I'll look into it and I'll let you know what I think about it. Yeah, we'll look into it.
What's going on, Phil? Say hi, Phil's out there.
Hey, Phil. Sorry, just writing notes.
Hey, Phil, how you doing?
I still use a piece of paper and a pen.
Hey, that's me too, man. I'm pretty smart at some things, but when it comes to programming stuff, that's why I try to avoid those FOCs, man, that I find, because I don't want to have to program it.
I hear you.
I have to learn that too right now. I don't want to learn all that. I'm trying to learn YouTube.
Yeah, no kidding. Sometimes it's a pain.
I had taken one of those stators and rotors and I tried lining it up. I didn't have the full system, but I tried lining it up anyway. I got it to spin with a treadmill motor, but I had the outputs hooked up to like a step-down DC to DC converter. When that thing exploded, man, was it loud. There's a lot of juice in those stators in that system.
We got another question.
Rennie.
What do you think the bit is smaller than the Rene motor?
Don't know the Rene motor.
I haven't heard of that one either. Let me look. I don't do a lot of reading on stuff. I'm actually more into doing like my own stuff. Like I'll focus. Me and Tim will talk all day about certain things that we want to do. So I don't really dig into stuff. I'm trying to find an image of it though. I don't know if that's what it is or not.
Shout out to Ezra, Mindful Exposures in the comment section.
Is it like a 5-coil transformer? I think I'm seeing something like that. I don't know if that's it.
You see, I don't know anything about it, so I can't even comment.
It's so to that question. Let me put it this way: anytime you have a transformer, and there could be more things going on we don't know about, but for the most part, if you have a over unity transformer, it's very likely it's partnered output coils, which means you have. There's actually a lot of write-ups on the internet about it, but you have it's like if you can imagine a +1, -1, +1 situation, where the final inductive kickback is actually an asymmetric coil because it's 3. Mm-hmm. So you have a free kickback, but it has to be tuned right. But there's a lot of people that's done that without magnets at all. You don't need magnets at all. Nature will try to give you 1.618 back no matter what. You just got to catch it. You just got to know how to catch it. And it can be hard to catch, but even if you just catch a little bit of it, if you get 1.2, you can have a looping system. And for whatever reason, the ones we've seen, for the most part, they seem to pulse. I don't know what that's about. Some have postulated some type of hyperwave that they're picking up, and I don't know. I don't know about that. One thought I had, and it's just a thought, but it's interesting how life has a pulsing heart. It's just something I thought about. Yep. I'm like, that's interesting how that could have been a lot of different mechanisms. It could have been a continuous sloshing mechanism. It could have been a lot of things, but it's a pulse. And that's interesting. And some of the machines we see pulse. It's like a surge. They go up and down. So I don't know if they're related somehow, but just some thoughts. We're not sure where it's coming from, to be sure. We don't know.
We get the pulse, but what creates the pulse could be an oscillation. of its own that we're not aware of. So
yeah, it could be what's part of the driving force of life. It could even be entangled into that somehow. We don't know. I mean,
I
that's
believe
getting
that-
kind of far out there, but it's just
As
a thought
above,
that I
so
had.
below.
well, the Earth's
Yeah.
heartbeat's at 7.83 hertz, and our mental frequency, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but if our heartbeat of the Earth spikes, the Schumann resonance, to say 13 or 14 hertz, we pick that up. We actually feel it, right?
Oh
So,
yeah, you need it.
yeah, absolutely. But that
Not
was
just
what I'm
that, you
saying.
absolutely need it. They put generators in the space station for the astronauts. If they don't, their body functions start weirding out. They can't sleep right. Their cardiac rhythm gets thrown off. It's very important, and they've actually isolated, I believe it was frog embryos in a Faraday cage where it was isolated from the resonance, and it didn't mature right. It wasn't growing right. So life actually kind of latches onto that in some way and kind of uses it as a timing mechanism, I think. Because otherwise, why would they need it on the space station at all? If it
I
wasn't?
believe you're
They put
absolutely
it up there
right.
for a reason. I mean,
Yeah.
and yeah, anyone, all y'all's viewers can look up what I'm saying. You can look up the Schumann resonance generator they put on the space station and look into why they do it.
Yeah, our comment section, our viewers are pretty smart, so I'm pretty sure they're aware of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Well, I was an instructor for 4.5 years, so I'm used to kind of talking. I have to think
Nice.
of everybody. I'm not
Yeah,
just
no,
the
I
smart
understand.
ones. I know there's people that might get offended. Oh, you're talking to me like I'm a 3-year-old, but it may not be directed at you, and maybe there may be someone else that understands it better.
I wasn't harping on you. I hope you don't.
No. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying. That's
Cool.
one of the things. No, you're good. This is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love your work, man. We're
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you know what? Have you continued the washing machine motor work, or you're just
that's one of the main primary things. Yeah.
nice?
Yeah, I got it out there in the living room right now. I hadn't even videoed it yet. Actually, I think I got videos of it, but it's got different ECMs on it. I switch it around pretty quick. I'll try something and then I'll switch it up.
Nice.
Yeah, I move pretty fast. Once I have a spurt to want to do stuff, I'll for about 2 weeks I'll be all in and just going at it every day after work for hours until I have to stop.
I hear that. Or till you get sick of it and have to move on to something else for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you have to clear your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let me touch on a few more things because me and Tim talked about what we could talk about the Samsung Smart Drive. Yeah, we already mentioned the surging. That's important. If you're wanting to build something like that, you want to pay attention to that. Watch your meters. You may initially think it's a meter flaw, but it's probably not. If it keeps reappearing and it keeps appearing with other meters, you got to watch that. And you got to think about, so you got to almost imagine yourself as the engineer that built that motor, whatever it is. And you got to think of everything that they did to design that motor. And then you got to think about every little detail you can alter or change to affect it. And that's the secret to making these things. Like you're not, it's going to be real difficult to do all off the shelf parts. You might get lucky, but usually it takes years of trial and error and getting closer and watching the meters and figuring out what works. But yeah, we're here to try to help y'all not have to go through all that crap. So
I'll be picking your brain.
A bit more of a head start. We can't tell you everything because a lot of the stuff Tim's worked 40 years to figure out on his own time. No one paid for us to do this. So a lot of the IP belongs to him. And it's really, but I just explained it to you. Basically, you have to modify little things. You have to think of every little thing you can change inside a motor. That doesn't. Nothing's excluded. Nothing. Like I 3D printed stators and put Neos in them.
Nice.
Think about that. I mean, I do. I try to change every variable. And if your viewers happen to watch the Ringer video, or it's the books. I'm talking about books. I'm talking about how they hid in the back of thermodynamics book, what they hid from you.
Yeah.
This whole time. Yeah. And they gave it like 4 or 5. I'm looking at the book right now. They gave it like 4 or 5 pages to talk about the stuff.
What was
they
it?
don't Figure out. It's
What was it titled?
Figure out. It's
What was it titled?
Modern Thermodynamics from Heat Engines to Dissipative Structures, and the author is Dilip Kondalupi and Ayla Protogine. I probably didn't say those right, but
Oh, Pierogine or
Progine,
Yeah.
Progine. Yeah, that's it right there.
Okay.
Yeah, I have
nice.
one of these books.
I'm looked. I'm flipped over, and they do talk about life cycle, the cellular slime mold. They talk about how that doesn't seem to jive with.
I'm gonna have to order that.
Yeah, write them down. Take some notes.
I think
Screenshot it.
somebody did say that they found this online somewhere, but I'm not the person to find it. So someone could try to look for it. It may be free. So
You just gotta dig.
Yeah.
There is a database that provides all sorts of free PDFs of books and stuff like this that I've gotten. It's called Scribed, without an E, just a D at the end. Yeah, so that's a good resource too. You might be able to find it there.
Yeah, I've looked.
Yeah, y'all should try to find, because I didn't test the link, but someone posted one, and I ended up leaving that group. But yeah, so yeah, I was trying to share that I was dumping a lot of my personal videos, and I got flagged as spam by a lot of people, and I was like, okay, well, I guess it's whatever. I don't care. I mean, I'll leave my shit there. I'll leave my comments and links, and then if they don't find it or if they delete it, that's up to them, man. Because I left almost everything public for a few days, and then I closed it because I wasn't. There's certain reasons I did that, but yeah.
Wish I'd known. I'm gonna archive all your
man.
stuff
I tried
now.
to tell everybody. I was on Reddit. I was on YouTube. I was everywhere trying to tell everybody. I was even texting people. But
you made the rounds.
Nathan
received
all over. Quite a few annoying emails, I think. But
I got some too.
I don't get anything but email. I've been I was hacked a couple years ago and I'm locked out of everything, no matter how hard I try. Some government agency's looking at me.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past you. I had some electrical problems. I think it was 2 days ago. I told y'all, some of y'all about it. Yeah, it was like my VPN told me that the connection was interrupted, I think 4 times. And it was when I was trying to upload certain videos to my cloud and my Drive and Telegram to share with Tim. Wow. And even Tim couldn't send any back. He couldn't send anything either. And I'm like, that's weird. That's never happened. And then the Google Drive surprised me because we have all kinds of stuff in our private drives. And
all right, guys.
I don't trust them.
Yeah. I think we need to take Nikola Tesla's hint here and go with carrier pigeons from now on.
Carrier pigeon.
Well,
I like it. Why don't we just open a couple of black holes here and there, send stuff through? I mean,
oh, seriously, I could train a carrier pigeon to carry a drive to you every once in a while, Gerald.
You might. It's a long trip, dude.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It could have just been. It could have been me not being very tech savvy with certain things. I don't know, but it didn't happen before, and I was uploading with the VPN all this time, and it wouldn't let me all of a sudden. That was weird, but I don't know.
Well, you may have actually hit on something they don't like because that washer.
Yeah, well, I think I pulled that. I pulled those. I don't know if you've seen it. Nathan's seen it. Nathan saw it. I made sure he saw it.
Oh yeah. We talked about it a while back.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you gotta pay attention to stuff like that. You know, just don't ignore it when stuff like that happens. Keep track.
Well, they'll still get it. It's still available. I put it on my Patreon so that when it's not really to make, because I haven't made a single dollar off YouTube, not $1, just so y'all know. But I put it up there that way I could see who's looking at it. Because if I have it public, it could be anybody, and I didn't want to risk that. So I wanted to see. Go. And it also, if someone was worried about what I posted, they can track it too. If that way, I was trying to make it to where I could do this a little longer because I figured they would do something to try to make me stop. So,
okay, we got a question for you about a book. Sorry, Gerald.
No,
Practical Guide to Free Energy. Have you read it?
Yes. That's a long book. I have the PDF downloaded on my secured drives. I actually have it on my phone too. I have but there's so much shit in there.
There
And
is.
I don't mean like bad shit, but there's so much that it's like you got to pick one.
And there are
run with it.
multiple editions too. There are multiple editions of that book.
No, I've looked all into that. I've also paid attention to Hector. I think his name's Hector P. Torres. He's the rotoverter king. He's the one that invented that, or discovered the effect. And he open sourced that, I think 40 years ago. And with what he's put online that you can get, you can basically break even with that. I know Doug done it. He's broke even. He had it looped, and I think it was increasing voltages just real slow. So it was right on the edge, basically. So
this group,
you can do it. And he describes one of the tricks. I'll go ahead and tell you all because it's not my secret. It's Hector's IP, and he's released it already on EV Gray. But to help be able to extract your resonant power, you can vector it through a transformer. It would be like if you had a microwave oven transformer and you use the secondary, which is the fine wire, and you put that in series to your loop back load. I'm sorry, it's in series on the L3. Yeah, because you're resonating L3, and you put it on L3, cross L3 in series, and then you extract. So you can vector it twice. You can actually then take your secondary, vector that into another matched transformer. It's very difficult to get matched ones, but you want to match as close as possible. And then you vector that, and you treat the whole thing like a RF network, and you can get the magic to happen then too. You can actually get a little extra off of it, and you can vector and not affect your resonant state as much as if you are directly tapping it. And that's isolation. That's also at play. Isolation is a big factor, because if you can separate the copper conduit to your load and to your motor, if you can isolate that and break it, and then still be able to transfer your energy without a direct path, you can negate lens a little bit, even if it's a motor. In that case, the rotoverter, you don't want to lose the resonant state, because then it'll lug and die. But because the rotoverter can be dangerous. If you hook a capacitor up wrong at the wrong time when it's running, it can grenade on you and lock up. So you got to be careful with that. You want it bolted down. But you can do it with that. And that's been open source forever. I mean, a lot of this stuff's been open for a long time. It's just nobody's really looked into it this closely.
This group has talked about closed looping it, and you get more power out if you don't close loop it.
Yeah.
I mean, closed looping, it's great. Don't get me wrong. I guess that's the whole goal. Yeah. But if you're just putting a tiny bit in and you're getting a ton out, why would you run it back into the beginning? Just steal it out. It's just like filling a big pot and taking one cup out at a time.
Well,
right?
What happens when you're adding back an inductive load back into your loop? When you go back to the source, it's probably inductive. If it's a motor, it's inductive. If it's a coil, it's inductive. So you're getting feedback there. So it could be shifting your power factor a little bit. If you could probably correct it a little bit and make it loop a little bit better. But yeah, you're right. In most cases, it's much easier just to leave it open and go ahead and pull your extra COP and use that. Or if you isolate it with batteries, you can do that too. Like switch batteries. So on a switch bank, so your source never sees the load, and you can do it that way.
Absolutely.
That's another thing. You don't want your source to see the load. You don't want them to mirror each other as much as possible. You want to try to avoid that with isolation or there's other stuff you can do, but you just got to think about it. Use your imagination.
He knows.
Yes, he does.
He knows. Okay, this guy here, he knows.
No, it's
yeah, it's good, man. You got it. You have you got the secret, so to speak.
Well, hey, I'll tell y'all what. I learned from Tentrom, and y'all can check out his Patreon. But I'll tell you something. And he doesn't make money off YouTube either. He's gotten like a few donations here and there, but he's taught me. He got me up to speed. Like I was already kind of sharp on certain electrical stuff, but he pointed me in the right direction. And y'all should check his Patreon out, because he's a busy guy, but he's been offering to train people to do this.
And it's just
he's not gonna give his time to you for free, because it's a lot. Like training you is a lot. I'm gonna write a book. Me and Tim is gonna write a book eventually, and at least 2 of them will be free on a PDF that's watermarked to hell. but it'll be
Nice.
free. And then I'm going to sell a hardcover that's going to be leather, and it's going to be water resistant pages and stuff like that. Whatever the toughest book I can find is what it's going to be. And then, but the PDF will be free. You could have it for free, and I might make all 3 free. We're not sure yet, but the third one is going to be really poking the bear. So we got to really think about it. So
I want one.
I just put the Tim Tron's channel in the comments so everybody would have it.
Yeah, everybody needs to go look.
But
before because he gets in these moods where he just closes his whole channel down and you ain't going to find it. He does sometimes. He's probably laughing at me right now if he's listening, but every now and then he'll get in these moods and he'll shut about 3/4 of it off to where you can't see it anymore. He'll make it private, or he'll pull it.
Oh, I know this guy. This guy's a freaking genius.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, when I first came across him, he had videos up that you wouldn't know what you were looking at unless you were following his whole thing, because it didn't have any of that clickbaity shit in there. It didn't. Nope. It was like it was like part 9, the Samsung or something, and it had a 13-minute video of that son of a bitch looped, and I can't believe he left it on there so long, because I watched it probably 100 times, and then we started talking a little bit, and I said, "Hey, can I share this?" And then he let me share it, and I guess he got a little too much he started getting trolls. Trolls were commenting and emailing him, and I was like, okay, well, I'm sorry, I won't share it no more. And then he had to pull it. So sorry, Tim. He remembers that. But yeah, I had to delete all my shares because I was like, shit, I don't want that to happen. And he also started getting some real strange emails that we're not 100% sure how they got his email. When he back searched him, the people that emailed him, they worked for certain companies. There was one in California, I think he said, that was a solar company, and there was I can't remember all of them, but yeah, real weird. And they would email him these strange messages like, we don't know why you're doing this. It's not going to work. And it's like, what motive do you have to do that, for one?
To stop
There's a lot of things that's weird if you think about it. Ken Wheeler gets hammered by people. Like, he's got a website, I think, like called Ken is Wrong or something, or it was up for a while, that was dedicated against him. And it's like, why would someone do that? You need to really ask yourself that. Why would someone do something like that? Someone that's not really making any money.
It's a smear campaign.
Money.
Yeah, when you're over the target.
For no real reason either. It's not
when you're
like
over the target, they throw stuff at you.
Yeah. Well, I think.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if somebody came to you and had legitimate criticisms, like, oh, you're not doing this right, or you can adjust this. But just like a straight up smear campaign with, ad hominems and stuff like that, that's a giveaway.
Well, think about what this does to solar, right? You have a machine like what you have, HeliArc, and it works great. It cancels solar right out. Who would want to spend $20,000 putting panels on their roof when you can go spend $800 and build a system that does the same thing?
Yeah.
The same.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy. It's crazy. There's certain channels that like to make fun of the idea, and it's like, what happened to your curiosity? Like you're making these educational or entertaining. I'm not going to name the channels, but there's 2 big ones. They're big ones. You probably know what I'm talking about. And they it's kind of weird. It's almost weird how they all said the same thing. And then they all also admitted that they all got visits by the FBI. Now, I'm not saying that's connected to that, but it's just I found it strange that certain ones literally bringing it out in their videos saying, don't ever try this. It's not going to work. Even though the device I just showed you had 2 to 3 times the power I was putting in, but it's reactive, so you can't use it. And then he says, but it's not possible. Forget it. Just forget it. And it's like, why would you tell young people that? Look, why? What's the reason? Because you're indoctrinated, and you're so it's like people, when certain things try to affect their belief system, or it's actually hubris, but they get it's an emotional response for them. They get upset and they'll want to fight. Like they're like, what? You messing with my beliefs? I'm my beliefs, and you're really not your beliefs. You're in control of your beliefs, no one else. But a lot of people need to realize that. You don't need some professor to tell you what's possible when you got a lab bench and gloves. You could figure it out. That's how every innovation was ever made. like Tesla, Einstein, all those guys, they were borderline quacks. They didn't believe in the boundaries of physics. They were out that, man, Tesla was thinking way out of the box, but a lot of the shit he was onto was real. They just told you it was voodoo. That way you wouldn't look into it.
We found we found out that it's not.
It's not.
Yes, the secrets aren't so secret anymore. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Oh, I opened the whole can of worms on that one.
I pulled that one. I had to pull that because I was a little bit worried. I was worried about that one more than any of them, if you could tell.
See, and I didn't see that one of yours. I wish I had. But
I bet Nathan's got it. He can send it to you.
Yeah,
I can send. I'll send it to you. Now I don't want to get 1,000 messages, but
no.
I could probably figure out a way to do it again.
Yeah, don't worry. Gerald's very bad at messaging.
I'll figure out another time to release it again, and then y'all just gotta have to pay attention. And you'll know because I'll make a few videos that'll be pointing in that direction. So, because that's dangerous. That's some real shit, man. I can get hung up by some people over that.
You know what? I agree with you 100%, but it comes down to this. The powers that ought not be have been screwing with the poor for so freaking long. It's time for the poor to stand, get this stuff out, and everybody gets their hands on it. And if it means taking a bullet to get it out, well, right there.
Well, I know I know what I was doing was risky. That's why I've been planning this out. Like I knew I was going to have to do it because I didn't see anyone else really doing it, other than me and the team. So. And then that was the plan anyway. Tim was always like, in the future, you're going to have to do it. Like, you're going to have to do this. And I'm like, yeah, the future, let's do it right now while you're still with me. So we're going to
I think a lot of us were in that same boat. Was like, nobody else is going to do this research. We got to do it ourselves. And then Nathan and I, came up with the idea of like, okay, we need a certain like vessel to gather all of these, resources and pool them together so we can share our data and research in a safe environment that's not going to be, like harassment, but more constructive criticism.
Right. Yeah. That's why I thought, I'll write a book because it's incredibly hard to suppress once I get it out. All I got to do is get it out to one person and then it'll proliferate and then it's out. And then what are you going to do when people, especially if they have hard copies? How are you going to suppress that?
The open source.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. Open source is my strategy as well. And anything that that is important, really, to understand these concepts should be open sourced, in my opinion. Because and specifically, if you're trying to, keep it to yourself, that's dangerous game to play sometimes. Especially if you're the only one with the knowledge.
Well, so yeah, I thought about all that and I was like, okay, how can I do this and not make it extremely difficult? And I talked about what I might have did in a video. I won't admit whether I did it or not, but we'll leave it at that. But to kind of help make sure that they can't, because the time wouldn't align, because the order that they would use would not supersede what's already out there. So they can't, there's not a lot they can do because I never officially worked for them. So that I'm not under any NDAs or anything. Right.
So you're free to disclose what you discover.
Yeah, exactly. So at least for a while. And
to be fair, there are certain aspects of all of our research that we can't disclose to the public, at this point. But we're trying to open source as much of the important information as possible, the relevant stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, that's what we're doing. I mean, the nitty gritty, the stuff that took Tim, 10 years to figure out, you're going to have to learn some of that. Like and we could help you out. We point at certain things, especially if you watch our videos and listen to what we're saying.
I plan on using you as a resource.
But yeah, because me and Tim, we have plans for it, and everyone's going to get it, and whether we get taken out right now or not, let's just make that clear. You're going to get it one way or the other. We made sure of that.
You're just sending me home.
But we have to, and for one, we want our copyrights on it because Nobody paid us to do this again. Like that's one thing people get mad. They're like frustrated. Why ain't you giving it to us now? It's like, did you pay for our research? Did you buy my $400 scope? It's like, and I know that sounds harsh, but you have to realize, like, once you start buying some of your own equipment and then people start prodding you like that, it kind of aggravates you, because it's like, man, you don't realize, like, I had to save to get this scope, and then I have to work and shock myself and cuss and burn things up.
We're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
We
have people yelling at me, why don't you do this test and this test? I'm like, I don't have the funds, man. I will. Yeah, or the time. It's on the list. It's on the list.
Is like, if you want a test to be done and you don't have the knowledge, there is books on Amazon. I can name 3 books right now. Electronics for Dummies on Amazon. That's one book. Book 1. Book 2, Electronics for Inventors. That's also on Amazon. Book 2. Book 3 is free on archive.org, and that's Charles Proteus Steinmetz, Electrical Waves, Impulses, and Other Transients. That's free. It's there. You can read the whole book. It's from about 100 years ago, but he gives you the real stuff. Like, his equations are still being used today. And there's some equations in that book we don't even know what the F he was on about. We still don't know what he was talking about, but yet he's still regarded as one of the top guys. That if you're an electrical engineer, you've probably at least heard about him in college, but a lot of people don't even know about him. They hear Tesla. But Steinmetz was actually maybe even a level above Tesla, because Steinmetz really homed in on the AC generator and the power delivery systems to all the homes, where Tesla was jumping around. He was wanting to do this, and then he was wanting to do that, and then he was basically patenting stuff and bouncing around and giving it away.
I gotta disagree with you. Tesla was way smarter, and I'm just saying that because I'm going through his stuff and we're doing his projects. That guy was just beyond belief smart.
So Steinmetz took the negative part out of the circuitry, and that's the part that Tesla was playing with, and that's the most important part.
Steinmetz probably did it against his will, because
we agree.
I don't know if this is true or not, but allegedly Steinmetz had developed some kind of camera that's supposed to be able to look into the past. Now, I think Wikipedia says it's a rumor, but after I've seen some of the stuff, and then we had the UFO hearings here recently,
I thought I heard about that.
I wouldn't put it past him.
It might be real. It had a very specific name, and it's sitting at the Vatican.
I think it did.
Now.
The Chronovision? Or no, that was
Chronovision. Yeah. It was the Chronovision.
Chronovisor, something like that.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, it's sitting at the Vatican.
They said it was fake. I don't know why you would make up a story like that about Steinmetz, though. That's a weird one. Why would you make that up?
The official cover story for that one is they wanted to. It wasn't real. They wanted to boast numbers for young people to get involved in the church. And I mean, it's plausible, but at the same time, I don't know.
But check this out, though, Ben. The other part of that is, though, rumors went around saying that the chronovisor actually witnessed the crucifixion.
That's right.
Didn't want that out.
Wow.
That's why
that is part of the.
Don't know if it's true. Just a rumor.
Right. No, that's part of the mythology or mythos of it all. Yeah. That they saw the Christ's crucifixion. That would be really cool to see. I mean, to go back in that time and see something like that, like historic.
But just the fact that you could see something from the past that's already been written in history. Mm-hmm. What else could you see throughout history with this thing? That's why they put it away.
Yeah, all the historical events that you could verify, and wow.
All right. This is a good time to jump in, guys. Historical events. I wanted to talk about this, and we're past the first hour, so I want to make sure we get into it. I want to talk about pole shift. And it was something that HeliArc brought up. You want me to play the video a little bit, or you just want to get into it?
Yeah, just wherever you think the best clips are. This is like 14 minutes.
Yeah, the first 7 were perfect. Not that there was anything wrong with the last 7, but get right into it.
This video is going to be a little different than what I'm used to posting. And by the way, I want to take the moment to say thank you to the guys and gals that have stuck around their subs, even though I haven't been uploading much. I don't make any money off this channel yet, so this is all kind of just to document stuff for myself. But I wanted to talk about something different today because I'm actually a prepper. I haven't published much about it, but that's going to change soon. Me and my buddy Tim will have a surprise for y'all soon. But anyway, on to today's video. We're going to talk about what Mr. Doug Vogt, rest in peace, called the Vogt reset cycle. And what it is, in a nutshell, is Vogt predicted in 2046, late 2046, at the peak of the next Gleisberg cycle and 11-year solar cycle, our sun's going to be at its maximum again, and that's when certain things are going to happen that may or may not change the face of the planet for the worst. We'll talk as much in depth as I can. I've only got about 20 minutes memory, so we'll try to keep this thing going. So 2046, that's a specific date. How did Vogt come up with that? Well, I can't get into his theory too much, but you can go to his YouTube channel, Diehold Foundation, and start Series 4. In Series 4, they're a little bit out of order. You gotta check. There's like 1A. He labeled them a little funny, and they ended up in the wrong order. But just check that and start that, and that'll tell you everything you want to know about this. Because for one, I think his family still owns all the copyrights. So, and they're, I love Vogt. Had many email conversations with him, and he's a great guy. Dedicated his life to trying to warn us. So, how do we know for sure? Well, there's something that I discovered for myself, not necessarily discovered in general, but for me, when I started learning electronics, started reading about harmonics. And harmonics are an interesting concept because it has to do with resonance. But let's look at it because they're the same thing. But a harmonic is going to be, let's look at it like the planet Mars or Venus. They all have a sound. You've seen it on YouTube, and you can listen to it, and it'll be a tone. It's a tone. That's a harmonic. And there's multiple harmonics, because you have multiple planets. There's 9 right there, plus the sun. The sun's got its own harmonic. The solar system that we have has its own harmonic collectively, and it's very likely our galaxy does too. It's kind of like you take a bridge, like say a long metal supported bridge, like the cable style. Mythbusters did a thing where the engineers actually let them take a Tesla earthquake machine onto that bridge, and no traffic on the bridge. It was completely separate. And when they stuck it on there and hit the sweet spot, the entire bridge started vibrating, and it was just emanating outward, propagating. It sounded like about 10 foot per second down the bridge in both directions until it felt like a semi was rolling by, and they had water vibrating. I think it got copyrighted on YouTube because it was like inside another screen, right? So, and it lasted for a while. It was up for a couple of years, but anyway, so harmonics, okay? How do we know 2046? Well, if we look at my graph, this graph is not completely accurate. This is my representation of time and how I can try to explain it my best to you, but this is not what the graph would truly look like. We'll look at, even though it's similar to this, so it's not the way they graph it, let's put it that way. But if you're looking at something on an oscilloscope to do tests, this is the way we look at it for the most part, except they'll be separate usually in their channels. But okay, 1859, the Carrington event. Everyone read about that. Bad deal. If that happened today, we're done. Like, it's going to be rough for probably about 6 months, and that's if it doesn't trigger anything. At that event, you can look here, 1857. It's roughly in their peaks. So the two tips met right there, right? And then we had the Carrington event. Now let's go to 1957. This was the bigger one. Although I think we didn't get a major direct hit, but look at these overlapping frequencies here. Okay. 1957, 2,500 solar flares, over 2,500 solar flares happened. It scared the shit out of the military. And I think that's when they figured it out. That because based on this event and this event, and you can see it graphed through time, and it's repeatable, that can only mean a couple things. It either means the sun is resonating itself, or it's resonating to the harmonics of everything, of the universe at large. It could be the universe at large, our galaxy, other galaxies, our solar system, other solar systems nearby. There's probably a lot, and there is more solar cycles than just these, like especially these two. This one, votes, was theoretical. It could actually, because a half cycle would be 6,000 years, so this could actually be what some people call the 6,000-year cycle. And if you, it depends on how you quarter it out, because it would, be a harmonic of the same, and we'll show that later. But yeah, the dotted line would be votes. What vote predicts. This is the long wave. This one's coming up, and this, in my opinion, if this is the case, this would be probably the galaxy harmonic, and this one might be solar system. An 11-year could be ours, like the sun, more close frequencies. It's definitely a frequency, though, because otherwise you wouldn't see this. You would not see this. And by the way, the nuclear fusion model of the sun doesn't do a very good job of explaining this. And Vote will go into that. Go watch his channel. Help his family. How does this relate to a pole shift? Well, when this outburst happens, it's an incredible pulse of energy, and our poles are already moving. Something's already starting to shift and flip for us on Earth. Many are aware of that. We'll go into some detail there here in a minute on the computer. I'll give you some search so you can read. A lot of people didn't even know about. So yeah, this event will trigger the pole shift. If it happens, it'll be maybe, I don't know, it could be anywhere from 10 to 100 times stronger than a Carrington event or more. We don't know, especially if there's 3 or more harmonics meeting at this point in time. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Come over here. Yeah, and this one's a nice one. This is the only one I could find that was nice and clear that could show this, show how it's kind of all, everything's resonating together. I got another. This is another way that they graph it. This is the this is your 11-year. Your 11-year, but if you can kind of see it here. It would almost look like one of those fire pianos when they hit a key. Just like that. Look, I mean, the Omniplex in Oklahoma City, they used to have one that looked exactly like that. It was very cool. And then this is a harmonic. Okay. First harmonic, that would be analogous to the vote cycle. The blue, analogous to the the 88-year. Yellow, the 11-year. Now do you see it? You see what I'm trying to say? And I think I'm the first person on YouTube. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments that I'm not the first one to say this and publish it on YouTube and explain it in this way. Okay? This makes it absolutely repeatable. It makes sense. And it makes it to where we can time this thing pretty well. We can speculate all day on what actually forces the flip. Is it this? Is it the plane at which we're in our galaxy? We're on a flat disk galaxy, and maybe our solar system dips down and up, and it falls into a different, overall polarity in a way. If you imagine the center of our galaxy having a magnetic dipole, and the top half would be north, bottom south, and if our galaxy were to drift into either quadrant, since it's in the middle at the plane of inertia, aka Ken Wheeler, then it could be a wave pattern, a wave-like pattern, us kind of propagating. Like that would be like if we were the black line in our solar system, we could be doing that. We could be dipping right there. This would be north, south, and that could cause a flip. That's just a thought, and we suspicious observers. I think he kind of talked about that in one of his videos. He didn't think it was actually may be true. But anyway, yeah. But it is a theory. I mean, and it kind of makes sense if you look at it, you know, at the work of all those people, those great people. So yeah, I actually think this is going to occur, and I think people need to know about it, and they need to prepare. And you need to go watch Doug Vogt's video. Now he's got some far-reaching theories, okay, about why he figured it out. But I think there's probably a lot of truth there. It's just we don't understand it yet, because he's getting into spiritual stuff about the Hebrews and the Hebrew alphabet, and he may have really found a key to something, but to the layman, it doesn't really see like maybe all of it's true, but at the very least, his science is pretty rock solid on what he's discovered to prove this out. So just go check it out, talking about materials found on Earth that can only be made in relativistic temperatures, okay, certain isotopes. Yeah, and layers, like flat layers, and then you also have Sunday Morning on Mars. I love that channel. I may see if I can, you know, kind of tag him. But Sunday Morning on Mars, go check out his channel. August Dunning, Dr. August Dunning. He's got some great videos about. He's got some that go into all kinds of stuff, aliens and all of it. He wraps it up into a pretty nice little film there. But anyway, so what else we got on the table is my mini MEG. I put this together. Just kind of show it. That magnet's just so it doesn't.
Okay, let's stop right there. Let's get into it a little bit. So,
I kind of, you know, one day I was looking at my oscilloscope and I was thinking about the pole shift and one of Vogt's graphs that he had, and I was like, I think I see a harmonic in that. And then I kept looking at it and I'm like, how is no one else not seeing this? Like seeing how the 11-year and the 88-year all peak together, that means that you have a resonant system. It's the only way you can have a repeatable cycle like that, because the nuclear fusion model does not allow for some kind of weird oscillation like that. It doesn't go into that. So, yeah. And so anyway, that's how I thought about the harmonic, and it made me actually more scared because I was like, oh shit, that actually makes sense of how what might be doing that. So yeah, let me mention August Dunning for a second, because his channel's pretty underviewed. Like, he doesn't post a lot of stuff, but he's got a couple of videos. He's got one that is literally named the 12,000 year solar cycle. I believe that's the name of it. That one's a great one. And he puts sound effects and video, everything. Like, he does a great film. And then
August Dunning?
down. Yeah, his channel name's Sunday Morning on Mars. But I believe he's a professor, or was. I can't remember. I'd have to look back at his stuff. It's been a long time. But he's also got another video that he did live with Ben Davidson on Suspicious Observers, where he's talking about anti-gravity, what they believe, like maybe our ancestors, who they are, and where they came from, and then stuff like that. And that could be true, may not. I don't know. But I know some of the stuff that he touched on with the anti-gravity is absolutely true. Now, some of the terminology he used was a little different than what I'm familiar with, but he inundating with X-rays, that's something that they do. Like that's how you can put an extremely high dielectric charge onto something, is you can hammer it with X-rays, and you can do that. That's how my the little dot, that's my profile, that picture of that lucite block, that's what that is. That's made from an X-ray inundation. It's called a dynamitron, and they make small ones. That one was a 5 million electron volt that made that. Because it's on eBay. It's actually a Lichtenberg pattern, but it's in a lucite block. It's 2 inches thick. Nice. And they inundate it with X-rays. It gets a real high static charge, and then they discharge it. It makes that pattern. And then I just printed a housing, put a light in it. But anyway, kind of.
There's more than one way to anti-gravity. I'll say that.
Yeah.
There's actually a safe way without X-rays. I know it sounds weird, but this stuff that we've been working on kind of. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the power levels, like at a certain point, if you want something that's like hard hitting and ultra fast, you're going to have to be able to juice that puppy up and quick. And that's one of the ways I know that they can do it is they inundate it. I think they have like an array that is it's not quite continuous wave, but they might have that by now. They might have
That's
a
a linear
wave.
Yeah, but you don't want to juice it up on the hot side. It'd be seen all over the place. You have to juice it up on the cold side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nathan, what I think he's talking about is linear motion. And that's the way that they're doing it. It's different than what we're doing.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Larry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. Main thing is with your gravity flyer, you're inducing an extremely high electric charge on it, right? Electrostatic charge with your Tesla coil.
In a bubble, yeah. Kind of like a scalar in a bubble.
I wouldn't say static. I would say
if it's voltage is static. That's what Steinmetz laid down back in the 1915s was that, but your voltage is actually, he termed it dielectric. That's what he called it. Mm-hmm. And when they were talking about voltage, they called it tension back in the day.
Let me just say it this way. I have 2 DC motors on there with boards on them, okay? And they would absolutely fry if I was holding in static electricity. So I'm not holding in static. It's got to be scalar. It's just a different phase of the same electricity. But it matters when it comes to if it destroys your motors every time, and it doesn't. So, and I've had static, and it destroys everything. There's not anything it doesn't destroy. So just a little bit different of a state. Just a little more pulled back on your high voltage, and you got it.
Kind of like the negative side. Because you can make negative ions.
But no.
That's what you're talking about. You're talking about the other side. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it uses both, right? You need your positive and negative in order to create that scalar field, right? Like, it's basically no time varying fields, which implies no varying magnetic fields with the result of having no RF field. And your system still runs in resonance and creates a load with basically no input whatsoever, or the most minute input that it's negligible. That's kind of how the system
go back and watch some of his flyer projects, because I was watching them for a long time and keeping up with them.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about the flyer. I'm talking more about. The flyers definitely involve that principles in it, right?
Oh, you're getting into top secret stuff, huh?
No, just stuff the way the coils work and the way that Nathan has found that the Tesla coil works in certain configurations, right? I think we misunderstand how electricity flows.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And if Steinmetz would have done the negative sign on it, he'd be brilliant. It would have defined everything back then. And then physics would be normalized now, where right now it's missing a whole part.
He would have defined the rest of Tesla's work, which is the stuff he had to keep secret due to the powers that ought not be that controlled him.
Yeah. He Steinmetz probably knew. He probably knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah.
I think he tried to come out with it. They stopped him from a couple books, I think, and lectures that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think he was forced, like you had said earlier, HeliArc, in order to take that negative part out of it. And he was the one commissioned to write it completely out of all equations, because they knew that Tesla had found so much incredible stuff that they didn't want that for the public, because you can't put a meter on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's more than that, you imagine some guy making his cows fly and you didn't realize it just by putting in the wrong electricity?
Or growing a plant that supposedly takes a month, you can do it in a week.
Yeah, I mean, they have some good reasons for why they want it secret, but at the same time, it's like it's gone on too long. Like the Cold War's over, and we've been long out of that scenario. Like for instance, you wouldn't want one of your adversaries to have a unlimited.
They already have it. The Russians,
they do with nuclear. Nuclear is virtually unlimited as far as we're concerned, because when you're in there and you got 20, 25 years, like that's unlimited, because you're going to be long out of there before that reactor dies anyway. But I know the Russians have some stuff hidden away. The Lockridge device, I believe, is one of them that they
Oh yeah,
Well,
They snatched up.
they suppressed the heck out of that one.
Yeah,
If you-
the Lockridge snatched it up too, but I bet you that design was well known in Russia. Russians are pretty clever. They don't have very much, but they have a lot of time and a lot of brains.
Well, if you would if you research Hal Puthoff's papers and his timeline on all his research, it connects back to Sal Paez, it connects back to actually John Hutchinson, and all that information got given to multiple governments at that time. So Russia with their hypersonic missiles, that's scalar tech. The planes and the TR-3B that the United States supposedly doesn't have, same thing. It's scalar tech. They literally create a bubble in front of the device and they squeeze the back end so it goes really, really fast. And it has its own field.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've had a lot kept from us. Now, I agree. There is stuff that shouldn't get brought out to the public because it could be used against others for stupid reasons of greed and evil. But at the same time, the growth of mass amounts of food, the thing that Nathan and I can't talk about on his channel, there's all these factors involved that would really help humanity just jump forward and stay forward for the next 1,000 years.
Oh, by the way,
people that are greedy that are in the power. Anyway,
Hutchinson's wife was talking about it.
Ah,
And but I want to say more, but I can't. But I noticed it, and yeah,
I like Hutchinson.
So we're definitely hitting the nail on the head with that one, Gerald.
Yeah, the message I gave you earlier. Yeah,
definitely.
See, I Hutchinson, the way he's cleaning the oil in the Gulf or how he stated, I believe it's like surface tension. It's like trying to hold a bubble in with your hands. He's trying to push the fields with his system. And it's not about that. It's about subtlety. It's just tickle it and watch it go.
Yeah.
So,
wow, I don't know what y'all was talking about.
But HeliArc, your time wave, I got a time wave from James Anthony West, and it correlates exactly with John Vogt. Is that what it is? Vogt?
Doug Vogt, yeah.
Doug Vogt.
Douglas Vogt, yeah.
But it correlates with his work and the time. Just amazing. Right from 11,500 years right up till now. The peak where it started to climb back up started somewhere around December 21st of 2012. And we're just entering like the peak of what 11,500 years golden age was considered, at least according to Anthony West here. So I just love your work. That's amazing. Thank you for bringing that out, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben, what are you doing over there? I have no idea.
You said what? Oh,
little slap and tickle. What do you?
Yeah, he said you got to slap and tickle.
Oh man, sorry about that. I just odd comment.
Besides Ben slap and tickle.
Oh, so let me say a couple
methodology.
Well, I don't know if you believe in dreams and visions. Just I'll get back into it after you finish what you were saying.
Oh no, I do actually. A lot of my stuff has come into my consciousness right when I wake up. It's kind of weird. I'll think about it before I go to bed, what I want.
It's not weird.
And then sometimes I'll wake up with an idea that I'm like, that's awesome.
Dreams are not what you think they are. We've been lied to since day one. Academia should go jump in the lake for trying to tell us that crap, saying that dreams are just dreams. They're so connected to your spirituality and your conscience. It's insane. And I can prove that.
Yeah.
10 ways from Sunday with all the stuff that I've been through, documented, people have witnessed. I got affidavits on. Crazy, I'm telling you. Dreams are not what we're told they are. Yeah. Pay attention to them. And like you said, it's when you wake up, right? Keep a pad and paper by your bed.
I do.
When you wake up, you get that idea, instantly write it out.
Mm-hmm. Yep, always have, man.
Yep.
So I was just wanting to touch on a couple of Vogt's points.
Go ahead.
the glass beads with fission tracks and isotopes that can only be found in the sun. There is some that can be created by meteor impacts, but there's certain ones, I can't remember what they are. I want to say titanium, but I could be wrong on it. There's certain ones that have to be made in much higher temperatures. And also, that's not all. After they left the source, which in this case is the sun, once they were ejected, they were spinning at like, it was a crazy speed. Like it was like 15,000 RPM or more. It might even be more than that. And it caused the glass to elongate into a dumbbell. And that's how they know how fast it went, because they can measure it. And whatever happened, it ejected that glass at an extremely high speed, and then it cooled down on its way, and then it landed on the moon, on Mars, and here. So that's some of the evidence that he had, and it was also in layers. On Earth, it's harder to find because of the way the layers turn over and some other stuff that might happen, such as the oceans moving around a little bit, and not in a nice way. There's also burn layers in Egypt on statues. Most of the statues got obliterated, but some of them are still standing, and it's the east-facing side that caught the sun when it burst. Not burst, it meant a super flare, and it cooked it. It cooked that rock down. I can't remember how hot it had to get to do that to it, but it also cooked the ground. There's a layer of ground right there where you can see it, where the whole ground was baked. And people have argued, well, how about a fire? Like, how do you know it wasn't a wildfire? Well, a wildfire wouldn't burn half a statue, more than likely, and it was more than one statue that showed that.
Was it all on the east side of all the statues?
Yeah, it's the east side. When they said it was at sun, I can't remember his name. The guy, it's in the Sunday Morning on Mars video, but it's at the end. He's a researcher that's been going over there. It might be Robert Schock. No, it's not Robert Schock. That's not him. But yeah, he brought that out, and it's on that video, the 2,000-year video. And then let's see. Aquatic life. So the back in the day, the Navy drug sensors down on the seafloor to try to measure the magnetic differences, so they could map out the pole shift. And Vogt's got all that data, and he presents it in that series, and he shows you like where the Navy detected opposite polarity, and they mapped based on seafloor spreading is how they did that. They mapped that because they averaged its time. And then you've seen Vogt cycles like at 12,000-year intervals. There's some in there that are mixed that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it could be error in the data. But one of the things they also noticed in those zones where it was different was the aquatic life, the shellfish. Like it's not a snail, but it's the curly shells, whatever those are. We'll call it a snail. It grows in the other direction when the poles are flipped. The shell literally forms in the opposite direction. And when they got to the other point of the seafloor where it was the other way, they grew in the other direction. He's got pictures of that shows you certain type of shellfish. And let's see, what else did I make notes on? Yeah. Oh, and then if you look up, your viewers can just Google. There's tons of articles on it. Google 42,000-year pole flip. If you Google that, Harvard released, a branch of Harvard released a document on it. There's a bunch of science.orgs released a document on it. A bunch of them did. And if you go through and read those, they tell you about it, like how rough it was. Our ancestors, what they went through, what they had to do, what they used for sunscreen. They also noted, and I found this interesting because they didn't talk about the sun at all other than this. They said after the event, the sun had about a 400-year quiet period. Isn't that interesting? Why would the sun have a quiet period where it wasn't emitting as much? It wasn't. The solar cycles weren't as extreme. And the reason I think it was quiet is because it just blew its brains out. It blew its whole dust shell off, and now it's shifted into the ultraviolet, and it doesn't heat very well, and it cooks us. It cooks us like ultraviolet sterilization. So when you go out, our ancestors had to cake themselves in this flour, some type of flour or something, some type of plant that they would smear it on their skin. It was reddish, and it blocked the UV for them. And then they went out, did what they had to do. And if you look in Turkey, I think it's Turkey and in a couple other those countries, they had underground cities that were big enough. They brought cattle down there. They had to bring their cattle. Why would they bring cows down in the cave with them? Think about that. Why would they do that? Because they had to. That's the only reason you would freaking bring enough room for cows, make enough room for cows. Is if they're going to die if they're up there, Or some have argued it could be war, and that's reasonable. But it's like, well, but yeah, but how? Like, why did they do it in other cities too? And then there was cave cities. There's probably some we don't know about under the United States too.
Yep.
I know the government
Multiple.
tied into some of them. They tied into some of them. With
Between
their,
Blind Frog Ranch and that other ranch that everybody talks about, they think's haunted. In between the two, underground, massive underground city.
Yeah,
that's a big secret.
Well,
they're trying to keep.
Skinwalker Ranch.
Yep, between the two, between Blind Frog Ranch and the one that you just said, the
Skinwalker.
Thank you, Skinwalker Ranch. Right in between the two, underground, massive city, and they've been keeping it secret for a long time.
No, so that's why they have all the problems with the electronic stuff.
I was saying, I wonder what's going on down there.
Oh yeah,
underground pyramid, scalar waves. See, there's a theory out there that 12,500 years ago there was a scalar war because all the pyramids were actually they built force fields and they produced power and they helped grow food. The water stream that was in front of the pyramids was actually the negative power line that went everywhere. And in this theory, what you just said about the east side of the statues being cooked, in my mind, it makes sense if they're using scalar waves and messing with the potentials of temperature. And Egypt was at a perfect temperature because they were using the cold energy. The minute the sun came up at the wrong time after this big war, it would cook everything like that because of the differential and potential. I could be wrong, but
no, you're right about the scalar because so when it's set to implosion, which is I believe it would be pull. I have to think about it. I think it would be pull. That would be what your target. You're drawing energy from it, and that's thermal energy. It's all forms of energy. You're pulling. You're drawing any free electrons. You're drawing its heat, and that's how that works. And what happens is if it's strong enough, you'll have an implosion event that is basically an ice cloud. And the Soviets did that. I don't know if y'all remember this, but they actually tested that weapon. And we detected it. We detected the cold spot, but they never came out and said what it was. But that's probably what it was. They were test firing that. And if you put it on the other way, the push, you inject energy. You're injecting your impulse into whatever you hit. And it can. I think Tesla was popping holes in metal signs or something like that with his.
Tesla went to Russia, and he was going to give them the tech because the United States said go pound sand. They wanted a demonstration. I believe that the demonstration was that big implosion in the middle of nowhere in Russia. I can't remember the name of it right now. It was massive.
I heard about that one too. I heard about that. Yep. I know what you're talking about.
He was the one that did it, and he used scalar to do it to prove that it was his tech and that he knew what he was talking about. And then the Russians got that tech, and that's why they have hypersonic missiles. Tunguska, thank you very much.
He was working for the government up until he died. A lot of people don't know that, but he was still doing stuff for them.
He was captured by the government till he died.
Yeah, it was sad. I mean, I say working for him. It wasn't with his will. I promise you that. He didn't.
But at least he had a nice place to stay, right? I mean,
it's interesting how that hotel was set up for him like that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think they said it was donations, but who do you think was really donating to that hotel? It was probably the government saying, "We'll pay for your hotel. You're just going to help us out because if not, we're going to kill you." And that's probably what they did to him.
I agree.
Yeah, how else would they have known where everything was when he passed away? They went right to his safe where he kept all the
Yeah, and I think y'all seen that picture. We'll describe it a little bit of the figure 8 coil. And when I thought deeply about it, I just envisioned Tesla back in the day taking a whole, like imagine a small bicycle tire worth of copper, and you got, say, 4,000 or 5,000 turns in there. And I just envisioned him in his lab one day just saying, I wonder what happens if I twist this and clamp it and pump power in it. I bet you that's how he figured it out. And then from there, he probably evolved into his bifilar tape coil or his, you know what I'm talking about, the flat coil, the pancake coil. because it was even stronger, because now you're collapsing almost 100% of the magnetic field induced by its own magnetic field. So you're going to get a massive impulse, where the figure 8 coil, I think it may have it's still done it, but the field is still able to escape into space a little bit and not be fully collapsed by itself, because you're sicking the field on itself. You're turning it around on itself. And just in case the viewers don't know, I know y'all probably know, but yeah, that's what a coil is. Or non-inductive.
The figure 8 coil, which one are you referring to?
The image. Did you see the image?
Where was it at?
It was in one of the links. I'll give it to you. I'll send it to you. I'll make sure you got it.
Okay.
If Tesla was messing around with geometry,
it's one of Tesla's stuff. It's Tesla stuff. Remember the diagram I drew? Do you don't remember?
Yeah, there's a lot in there, man.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. It's just a figure 8 coil. He just took a loop of coil and twisted it, and that's what was on.
Oh, yeah, I know what that is. Okay, I remember that.
Yeah.
What that is actually the flower of life. If you look at it from the very top, it'll make the exact same configuration. Yeah, it makes the same thing perfectly.
Looks like it. Yeah.
But I bet now that you know, I bet that's how he figured that out. He was probably just sitting there tinkering and just twisted that coil of wire. That's probably
Hutchinson's wife was talking about that too.
Yeah.
That's so an implosive the coil design like that. He patented that for a reason. Why else would you patent that? I mean, he could use it as a capacitor too, but if he wasn't doing that with it, he was making impulses with it and using it for his impulse technology, which was scalar. It was other stuff too. And the scalar makes a great communication system at lower power levels if you have the right sensors to pick it up, because it's like a laser. You can't sense it unless you're in front of it. And it's essentially undetectable by most equipment because it's not a Hertzian wave at all. It's not the ether is not oscillating. It's a pressure wave in the ether. It's just a single punch, like as if you threw a spear at it, basically, is what's happening, except the ether doesn't compress, so it moves forward. It would be like if you had 100-foot long pool stick and I tapped the end of it and you're on the other end, you're going to feel it instantaneously. There's no delay.
Yeah, right? Just like ice.
That's it. That's how they're able to do that. Is it's just light taps, and I think the bandwidth is pretty low. There's only so much you can squeeze out of a voltage range unless you have maybe if you have an advance, you might get up to like 56K, which would be, I don't think you get up that high, but at least for low comm like text, you could do it. You could do it with that. You could send short commands or messages like that. You know,
you mean like 56K hertz?
Internet, no, like 56K bytes, because the bandwidth of that type of communication system is not going to be very high, because you don't have. I mean, it depends. I guess you could tap fast, but you'd have to have a good algorithm because you have to change. You have to make a new algorithm now. Now it's voltage per second and nanosecond, because then you'd be measuring it in a really short time. If that makes sense. That's probably too much. It's probably
I just had to shift gears because I'm thinking non-linearly and you're thinking linearly, and I get exactly what you're saying. Totally.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, if Nathan was holding the other end of the 100-foot pool stick and I was trying to send him a message, I got to have a good algorithm for him to make up the taps. Does that make sense? And then you can only tap so fast to where it's understandable. Because if you start tapping too fast, you start getting too much noise. Signal to noise ratio may go too high for your receiver. You'll still be receiving it, but it may not come in clear. So
but through scalar,
if they advanced it, that's what some people call scalar.
Yeah, I know. We throw those terms around because ultimately scalar is quantum vacuum fluctuations, quantum mechanics. They got a dozen names for the same freaking thing, if you understand what I mean.
It's a longitudinal pulse. That's what it is. So you might be talking about something different. I think you might be, because what some people, if I Google scalar right now, it's not what I'm talking about. When I say scalar, that's just what some people.
The definition of scalar by Google is not the definition that we have.
Yeah, no, that's not it. It's not
I know what you're talking about.
Longitudinal,
like I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then you could have a canceling Hertzian wave, which some people interpret as scalar, which looks like a figure 8 going all the way down in time, like if it was on an oscilloscope. And there's some scope shots that show that people set that up in the lab. But that some people call that scalar, and I think that's actually in the physics books as being what they call scalar. Is those
I call scalar the energy that I tap from the center of my open core, and I get it for free all day long. All day long. Doesn't even affect my power input.
No charge, baby.
I just tap it.
You guys froze up on me for a second. I couldn't hear.
Here we go, Jen.
Yeah.
They love messing with us when I talk about this. I'm telling you.
Probably the CIA joining the chat.
Who knows? But
yeah,
you get a notification.
You see a big box over there, do you?
They wouldn't leave me alone the other day when I was on with Gerald. They were all over me.
They don't like me because when I start talking about scalar, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. So when I start releasing nuggets, they mess with the feed, right? So scalar you can tap by creating the dipole, never touching it, just let it oscillate and just tap that. And that's how I get my energy for free all day long. I can charge 5 batteries at once, and in a half hour, all 5 are charged. I can run a bunch of stuff in my house all day long off that, go back, charge it for another half hour, do it again. And I'm doing it for like maybe 10 watts.
Yeah, that's that's laborious. That's a laborious way to do it, but that's how they did it back in the day. Yeah, it works, and the lead acid battery works well for that. It can accept that energy real well. That's one thing that Bedini really loved about those lead acids was it could accept that cold energy real easily, and it can actually enhance them for a while.
Here's a tidbit for you, or a little nugget. Have you ever used a lead acid battery in a system like this, or what Bedini was talking about in the negative aspect? Run it for a while, keep charging it, running it, and then crack it open and see what's inside.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Yeah, I haven't done a Bedini wheel.
Right.
No, I don't even mean Bedini so much, but his whole aspect of it was when he used lead acid batteries, he would only charge, like from his system, he would use the spike to charge that battery, but that battery would never be used as a power source to run the system. You could run like inverters off of it and do other things with it, but you could never use it as your power. You could always charge it, and it would condition to the point where it would charge extremely fast. And then you could suck energy off of it all day long, right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is if you condition the battery like that over time and then cracked it open and looked inside, there might be something in there for you to see. And that's where I have to kind of leave it. That's just my point.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I love a mystery because I make me want to try it. Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Your system could produce something like that because you're getting negative spikes.
Yeah. Yeah. Not only that, but isolating the battery that way was an easy way to separate the load and source. And you could also hammer that. You could hammer power over with a PWM if you wanted to, capacitively. You could fill a good size capacitor and just dump it in quick switches to where you're back. Then that's another thing you can do to help lessen that or control your load, because if you can hammer power over whenever you want. And if it's if it's acting like an inductive load, you can correct that, or do things to correct it. That's how you end up with a good system. Yeah, it's a lot of tinkering, man. You're gonna have to really use your brain, and you're probably gonna at least have to read 2 books. Like,
I'm there already. I'm just trying to get it out.
Oh yeah. No, I'm talking to the audience too. So just so you know. If they want to get started on this, like you're gonna have to read a little bit. You're gonna have to put a little work in because, and some of this stuff we're doing is dangerous. Like Nathan, he could easily shock himself if he wasn't careful and knows what he's doing, and you know what I mean. We got to be real careful with these systems.
Yep.
Yes, I have shocked myself several times.
Yes.
Daily.
But once you get it right, I don't want to say too much. But you have to go back and watch one of my videos. I can just
To be honest with you, on the whole Tesla thing I've been doing, I haven't been shocked at all. Not at all. It
doesn't work that way.
As a matter of fact, the heat in my body helps the system to pull energy in one direction. So, yeah, it's a lot different. I actually started working with capacitors today to pull the load so I can get the distance out of it. So, yeah, we're getting there. And I have my front carpet grass that I pulled up in the section. So we're gonna get to work.
Yeah, and in mine, you can run the line from the scale, like from the center of my core, which I believe is scalar energy, and I run one line from the core to a light, and then I grab the wire from the light and then to the source, and I hold it with my fingers and turn the light on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow!
No shock.
Yeah. So let me drop one bit. This is a kind of a big one, and Tim, I don't think he'll get mad at me, but we talked a little bit about it before the show, but I won't say what component, but on one of his machines, when it's doing its thing, certain parts begin to refrigerate, and we'll just leave it at that because it goes to what you're saying.
Yeah, man. We're playing with
parts of it begin to refrigerate. Other parts continue to get hot, so it's weird, but yeah, I can't say any more than that. Tim's probably already about to choke me.
Once he figures out that you can move the heat around and that cold has a specific way of flow, you'll be able to control that and turn it into voltage like that.
I multiplied voltage today doing that.
Yep.
I figured it out. I found out at the source of it in that Tesla coil how to produce higher or lower amounts of energy, and then I can now put a steel plate under the bottom of it and not have it affect my load or my capacitance. So just by controlling that a little bit, changing the rod, I did a few things, and I put a big plate under it today. It had no effect on it, but it did have an effect on how much power it would put out. So it's a whole interesting concept of it. Yeah, it was something Gerald and I talked about, and I got most of it worked out now.
Yep. Somebody had said water is the antenna. I'm talking about a different video. I didn't use water at all. I just grabbed the lines with my fingers and turned on the light. So that's the difference between this kind of energy and what most people play with in their walls. Plus, it's high frequency too.
Totally
right?
different.
Yeah. Or at least it seems like it's high frequency, but it's not. Use high frequency to get it.
Well, John Searle's generator, that whole thing would refrigerate, and then there is a replicator on YouTube. I can't remember his channel. It's in another country, so it's translated, but it starts to refrigerate too. But it's not over Unity. But he's pumping power in, but the middle begins to refrigerate. It gets ice cold, like frost is building up on it. And he did like 25 or 30 videos of it, and he's a machinist, so he was making the parts really nice, like they were beautiful parts.
John Searle was a genius.
That good. I ain't that good. I have the machinist do stuff for me though.
Yeah, John Searle knew what he was doing. But he used mechanical moving parts, right? I'm more into I don't like moving parts. We don't need them.
Yeah,
stuff would last 10 times to 100 times longer if that was the case, right? So
yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. It's just I think there is a way to get real power, because from some of the rumors I've heard, if you go to aboveunity.com, there's a member there named Etherholic. He hasn't been active but in a while, which is weird, but he claimed a COP of 4, and it was over 200 watts. He was putting in like 40 or 50, and the way he measured it, he actually said something similar. He's about the getting cold. He said he was measuring the apparent resistance of the bulb, and after a certain threshold, it went way down, the apparent resistance. So it was like the bulb started getting cold, even though it was still lit, which is strange. It was like going back to a cold bulb again. If that makes sense, even though it was lit.
Yeah, it's like a threshold effect.
Right, Nathan?
Yeah.
Nathan gets it. We talked about this just the other day, man. Amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. You're talking about the cold effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
when you're seeing that, you're on to something. and you might want to keep your mouth shut for about a year until you figure out what you got.
Oh, I
Because
feel
know.
don't run your mouth too early.
I don't care.
Because
I died
yeah.
once. What are you gonna do? Kill me and send me home? Go ahead.
Yeah, you just come back.
That's the way I see it. I'm sorry to be so crass in that sense, but this energy is so beneficial to mankind. Like, it's stupid we don't have it. There's ways of getting this energy and the growth of food and all that to people without the negative parts of it. You just have to be a little creative, but they don't want that. It's about, holding control, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, we got the ball
I
rolling.
think it's definitely.
The cat's out of the bag now. They can't put the cat back in the bag.
Yeah, we're trying to
Sorry.
make it happen. No, go ahead.
Mike was using it in his Renegade motor to negate eddy current, by the way. And then he tells you exactly how to transfer it back to hot power if you wanted to use it that way, and how to capture the spike. So, and also he doesn't use MOSFETs or transistors. He uses a spark gap in order to time his system as well. So, yeah, we got a lot of it going on in the group. Yeah, there's a lot of people that understand this energy, and it's starting to come together as the whole thing. Gerald and I are gonna get together and write the rules of it because we've been working with it for quite a while now.
Yeah, I've written a book on how my system works, how I got there, all the parts of it. I've done one part of my presentation on YouTube. Nathan's going to write a book. I've been bugging him to write a book. Other people in the comments section have been bugging him to write a book. So that's going to come out hopefully very soon. But we've discussed many times how we can control temperature. Like, I can put the heat where I want it. I can use the cold for what I want. I can move it around. I can take it and use it as energy. I could throw it out. Once you learn what it is, it's a little easier to manipulate it.
Yeah, it makes my Tesla coil to my rodent coil an absolutely beautiful system. It handles it just perfectly.
Yeah, it's like it's made for it.
Yeah, it literally feels like it was. It handles that cold energy so well.
Yeah, I believe it was actually what it is. It's an extension of Tesla's work, the rodent coil itself, specifically the PoE. It's basically a pancake coil.
Yeah, it's the only thing is you got to have heat on the other side of it, or else it has nothing to pull to. So because it cools it down is what's going on. Is there's a temperature difference between your Tesla coil and your rodent coil, and it starts to cool down in your rodent coil. So now you have to find a way to heat it up just a little bit to get to the other end. So like 15, 20 feet, you should be all right. I've gotten 50 feet out of it, but it's not as easy as you think. So I've been working with the caps to get the pull a little faster. Now, as soon as I can get that pull faster, we can go way beyond that. And then Gerald told me, to use the right cord, which I tell everybody to use for high voltage. Use a, what was it, Gerald?
Coax.
Coax.
It's like cable for the back of your TV. 200 feet.
I use it for high voltage experiments everywhere, so I got a bunch of it. But the whole thing is cold electricity stays on the inside, so the center of it is perfect for it. Then the outside, you need a little bit of heat, so you need some draw. So if you just run some heat through it, you'll be just fine, just a little bit, and you're going to get this thing to run. It almost feels like a backwards way that Steinmetz would say how he does hot electricity.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems backwards to it. It's like the reverse of it, and you'll have it. If you can understand that, you'll be all right. It's reversing the fields, and off you go to the races.
I think HeliArc is there, but he understands it a little differently than we do.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Well, once he talks to us for a little while, I think that'll change a little bit. We'll all come into the same agreement somewhere.
Maybe we'll get our minds changed, HeliArc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say, since I don't know how many viewers, I can't see how many people's here. So one nugget is you can look at me and the team's channel, and there is some nuggets in there. There's some videos in there that you're not going to find again. I promise you, you're probably not going to find it. So, and there's little cues in there. You need to go look before they go away, because they could go away. And
Go watch his channel.
Yeah, you hear that?
You
His
need to
channel
go
is a treasure
get
trove. Go
you might want to get a downloader, and don't trust YouTube's. YouTube's don't mean nothing, because if I delete the video, it's deleted from your cache too. YouTube's downloader is not real. It's not real.
Nice.
You gotta get an MP4. You gotta get it saved away on your hard drive or a flash drive or whatever you want.
Yeah, there's Larry's channel right there. Check it out.
Go check it out. Subscribe. Watch all of his stuff twice.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because we got to get the word out, man. This is a bunch of crap.
Yeah,
can't control us forever, man.
Well, you know what? When one of us comes out with it, we got to have other people come out with it, and we all got to kind of start pushing the same buttons here, so that we all have it, and then everybody watches it, so we all get to understand it, so it doesn't go away.
Exactly.
Yeah. We may be there now, but we need more. We definitely need it to proliferate more. It's more is always better. I know I started early, but the more the better, because and people need to actually start getting their hands in it, man. I mean, it's great to watch YouTube and learn, but if you want to do this, you have to do it. You got to just go get the books, go get everything, and give it a shot. You know,
get your hands dirty.
Yeah, it's not so bad. I mean, I taught at a trade school, so I talked to everybody. I got to teach everybody, veterans that were 60, all the way down to the 17-year-olds that don't even know how they got in there. But yeah.
Okay, so now you're going to be drafted once we write our books to teach them.
There you go.
Well, I'll be teaching, because I'm writing my books, and then I'm gonna try to do stuff on my channel that's educational or in my Patreon.
You should
depending
teach
on how
a
much
class
time I got to put into it.
You should.
Yeah, no, I am going to do a welding class. I'm going to do a welding blueprint and engineering class, because that's one of the things I taught. I'm good at it.
Nice.
So I'm going to teach that. I got to draw my own stuff, because I can't use the old school stuff. So I got to draw my own stuff, and then I'm going to teach blueprints, writing and reading. So reading and writing blueprints, weld symbols, and then some of the techniques that will help somebody out, and fabrication tips and stuff, and some codes that they need to be aware of if they're going to try to work for themselves, especially like ADA guidelines, stuff like that. You can't just go make any kind of handrail you want. In certain places you got to follow the law. So stuff like that. I don't know how much that class is going to cost. Probably going to be around $500, but it'll be a month. It'll probably be one, like you would pay for 1 month, and then that's the class. It'll be a 4-week class, which I used to teach 3 weeks. Cool. I would cram it in. Yeah.
I'm sure it'd be worth it with that much content.
Yeah, that sounds neat.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that. High Voltage Academy.
Are you doing it online, or are you doing it in person? No,
I'm going to do it online. I'm going to do it on Patreon, and it'll be online. I'll probably do like live teach with it, and then I'll be sending them worksheets and stuff like that.
I need to learn how to
assemble quick.
I need to learn how to weld, so I'm interested in that.
Hey, you say you're gonna do that on a Patreon or a WikiHow?
Yeah, probably Patreon. But I'm gonna no, I'm probably, I don't have the camera set up to teach welding. You gotta have like a $4,000 camera to make it look good.
Yeah,
look like you're looking at it. So, and then you gotta have an area. I don't want to do that right now, because it's there's already websites. So Welding Tips and Tricks is great. There's a bunch of them that's great. That's already got the camera, and they already got the videos up. So all you got to do is watch those, and that'll help you more than anything. And then when you buy a welder, you actually know what it looks like. So,
yeah, that's true.
And I can help people remotely too, because I know how to describe what their hands are and everything. So I know like what they're going to have to do next, kind of thing. So I can explain it pretty well. Again, and you have to learn how to do that when you're trying to teach welding, because it's difficult to teach. Because it's art. It's like art. I mean, you have to be kind of artist, or it's not going to work out. So,
yeah, you have to see the weld almost before you do the weld.
You got to have pretty good vision. Yeah, you got to have decent vision, or you got to be able to correct it to where it's decent, or else seeing the puddle will be difficult. Yeah, because it's small. Yeah. That's the key to making a nice weld.
No, thank you. I burned my eyes several times. I was an idiot with my helmet, and I paid for it. And I won't do it again.
Yeah, I've been there a few times. I've also had my eyeballs drilled out. That sucks. About 3 times. Every welder has.
Feels like cotton balls in your ears when you get to the hospital. They put that stuff in there.
Oh man, I'll never go back to the ER for that. Oh, they hurt me so bad. I just go. Most eye doctors will let you do call-ins even if it's late, so you can go in. They'll take care of you and where it doesn't hurt. Yeah, they give you the numb stuff, and then it's all good. Like it's not bad.
Do you think they can help with a laser burn? I mean, I don't have one now, but I did get one in the past, and it was nasty. I'm lucky I can see.
Like if you're talking about just any like high powered laser, that's a heat burn. So whatever's good for like a regular burn.
I caught the flash.
In your eye?
Yeah, because I was using it. Caught the reflection and it hit my eye.
How much power?
Out of it. 5 watts.
5? And you was waving it around, man. Ooh.
Well, I wasn't in the city. I was in the country, but
no, that hits your. What color was it?
Blue.
Yeah, I think that damages your retina.
Maybe.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that's the one that can hit the retina.
Oh, okay, let's move away from this conversation, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Going down that road.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
It's okay to share personal experience. It's not okay to share anything beyond that. So let's just can it there and go.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't play with lasers.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Yeah.
But so what are you going to work on now? What's the next project for you?
For me, it's probably going to be, I want to finish the Russian ringer circuit because it's almost done. I got to run one ground and then I got to make sure I did it right and then plug everything in, and then it should be like real nice and easy to switch and get it going. And once I get that going, that'll be one. And then I want to work on the Vortex ringer that I open sourced. Want to do some with that. Now, if any of y'all is doing the Vortex ringer, you may have to adjust the length and the taper, but I'm pretty sure that's going to work. Once you get it resonating right, I think it's going to work because it's the same way level 3 EMP conducts and destroys your stuff. Is that it's the Earth's magnetic field moving back to its homeostasis because it was pushed. Same idea. So I want more people to be building those, man. We need more people thinking outside the box and trying stuff, like us, like all of us.
Absolutely.
What we're doing. It's absolutely important. Yeah. I
agree. So your project, the Kula, is that the one that you were discussing?
No, it's named the Russian ringer. That's the name of it.
Okay.
It's 2 little ferrites with a figure 8 coil in between the 2.
Oh,
and then it's basically it's a partnered output coil configuration with some other stuff going on that we're still looking into. But that circuit took Nakvarat a long time, probably about 3 years to figure that out. And he's a pretty well-known Russian for doing stuff like that. Kind of like a Kula. It's the same. It's a similar principle. I think we do believe it's ferroresonance. It's either, if it's not ferroresonance, it's bucking coils. So, and they are bucking. There's some of them on there that are opposite wound, and it's like you got one clockwise, one counterclockwise. That's bucking, and they need to be in the right direction towards each other. There's some diagrams. Anyone want to know? Just search bucking output coils and go push images, and you'll see a dozen images of it. So that describes what I'm talking about. But
okay, I see the project now. Nice.
Yeah. There is some bucking, and they did some other stuff too. Like they put a voltage regulator in one circuit. Because if you go to their website above Unity, it's available to the public. The diagrams and all their commentary on there is available. So you could go look at it and look at what they did, what worked for them. They were trying Litz wire. They were trying all sorts of stuff, different transistors, different cores. And that's a simple one. Yeah.
Bucking is the key. Yep. One of them anyway.
Yeah, I think there's at least 20 ways to skin this cat. I think there's a lot of ways. And don't ever think, because like we're talking about scalar and cold energy, your understanding, it's okay for your understanding to be different than mine. Like there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you understand what's going on for you and how in your projects. That's all that matters. You could call it toilet paper effect, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, as long as you understand what's going on and you can manipulate it, that's all that matters, really.
I call it.
At the end of the day, you're not getting paid by the public in some university to develop this. This is all your own money.
Kidding.
So
I call it
it's all you, man.
Hey, current unifying potentials.
Yeah. You know what? Put it all out there. It might be the secret to someone else's whole thing going on. They may have missed that one little part, and maybe your efforts help them finish their project.
Yeah, I hope so, man. That's what my hopes are, is getting some of this out, because there's a lot of people doing work in the area, but and y'all's doing different stuff than I'm doing. I'm doing a little bit different. The other people doing stuff in our area, there's only maybe 4 that I could think of off the top of my head that's actually serious, that can build stuff. And there's maybe 10 more that kind of fiddle around, but they don't actually put their heart and soul in it. So it's not, they're just waiting for someone to give them a diagram that works and then being all happy about it, but they didn't work for it. So if it breaks or if something changes on it, they don't understand it, so they can't ever have it again. They'll never set up the condition again because they don't know how to get there. And that's important, is knowing how to get there, because if you start with a MEG and you generate 20 kV and you accidentally touch it with both hands, it could be your last day to breathe. So you got to be careful with some of it too. Yeah, take your time and learn, read the books, get some equipment, get some high voltage probes, get some gloves, get all that stuff.
Get a wooden box, maybe.
I had gloves on.
Put it in the wooden box, maybe.
Yeah. Or if I'm doing real high voltage, I don't do it anymore. But when I did, I would tuck one of my hands behind my back. That way you can't
one hand rule
with your heart. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's a big one. That could save people's lives. And
absolutely.
I made a couple fractal burning machines for a few friends that did woodworking. And I tried to scare him out of it. I said, look, if you touch this, you're dead before you hit the floor. Like this is 20,000 or 2,000 volts. Sorry. It's 2,000 volts at like 2 amps. And it's like the electric chair voltage. So it's real good at killing you. So it's this is a bad deal. I tried to talk him out of it. He still wanted it. So I built it. We did agree on some things like a foot switch, and then he used jumper cables for the prongs. So we was able to isolate it pretty well with the big plastic things.
Nice.
And then he had gloves. So, but yeah, some of that stuff is dangerous. They do make a Lichtenberg burner that's a high frequency, and it's not as dangerous that you could use if anyone's interested in that. It's less than a watt. I think it's a neon sign ballast is all it is. A pretty good, a pretty decent one, a pretty decent power one.
I don't even use microwave transformer without, a box around it, and it has to have a breaker right next to it.
Yes.
Otherwise, there's no chance. I'm not touching it. And I don't mind high voltage when there's like almost no amps in it. That doesn't bother me as much. But when you got both combined in there, not a chance I'm touching that.
So I thought of this. I wonder if someone that's smart and can figure this out, but a GFCI, imagine if you had a GFCI circuit there and you could like tape the ground to your ankle or your wrist on a collar. And that way, if you start to get shocked, it doesn't take much to trip one of those. It only takes a few milliwatts because it's designed to stop you from getting killed if something falls in the bathtub. So I wonder if that could trip it. You know what I'm saying? Like a safety. I don't know if I want to test it, but a person could. If you set up something of similar resistance to your arm,
good point,
like between your wrist and your finger, you could probably simulate it and see if it'll trip. And if it does, it wouldn't hurt to have that either.
Just to get one of those wrist straps. You said get one of those wrist straps that like plugs into the wall ground.
Yeah, something like that's got a resistive line built in. It's like
so you want a proper ground then?
Well, maybe. I don't know if this will work or not, but I just have a feeling it might, because it only takes, I think, 5 milliwatts to trip that. And if you get hit with that thing, you're going to probably pump a little more than that in there at your wrist or wherever it's at.
Yeah, it may have to start with something like a fuse breaker for a spa.
Like a hot dog. We could put a prong in a hot dog and then touch off on it. There you go.
That might work.
Or maybe 2 hot dogs. That's not a bad idea. That could at least tell you if it's going to trip it. Then
Yeah.
you can do 3 hot dogs.
So you
And if
still
it
get to
trips
eat the hot
3
dogs?
If they're cooked, yeah.
I might feel good about it if it does it with 3 hot dogs, because that's
Maybe bad tasting. Oh,
yeah. It tastes
I
like
can't
crap.
use high voltage in my system.
A
My
little bit of
system.
ozone mixed with your.
There's a plasma dog.
we're all having plasma dogs tonight.
You want ketchup with that?
Yeah. Wow.
Gotta have
Sean said to put on some chainmail underwear. I don't know that would help you. That might hurt. Oh.
If it was grounded out, it would.
That would be like Electro Boom in his heated chair. He sat down in and set his pants on fire.
Yeah.
I don't know about that chant. I love watching him, but it's like
he's fun to laugh at, but there's no.
There's really no point. I mean, it's just, it's not. It's kind of educational, but then it's kind of not. Like he's a little more. He's more in. Yeah, it's like 50-50.
More entertainment.
Yeah. For sure.
I got one circuit from him, but I got it from somewhere else too. So yeah, it's more entertainment.
Now, I am surprised he hasn't killed himself, because some of the circuits he's grabbed onto, either he stages it real well or he's really getting hit with like 15 million volts.
No, he
sometimes like he's done some dangerous stuff on there. So I don't know if he actually took the hit or if or if it was staged. I'm sure he staged.
There's no chance. He staged everything.
Had to have. He'd be dead.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff he did was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As like Nathan said earlier, I think you said it to me before we're talking about him. He knows exactly what he was doing. Like, he had all the variables under control, at least as much as he probably could, doing stunts like that.
So someone asked if we talked about the MEG. I think the first hour was about the MEG.
Yeah, but I was saying, I think you saved these, right? So they can go back and listen.
Yeah, they can go back and watch them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was just asking.
4 separate channels, 5, 6, 7 channels.
Yeah, we got a lot on today, yeah.
Yep. So you can always go back and watch.
Yeah.
I go back and watch just to see what the chat says, because I'm trying to read as fast as I possibly can.
It's hard to keep up with the conversation and the chat, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to look too, especially when y'all's talking. And y'all had Joel on here, right?
Joel,
yes, we did. Joel's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out Joel.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was talking about. I'm not going to name those big channels, but I don't know. Do they ever say anything about you guys?
No, we're not important.
But they don't say anything about us.
Joel must have pissed him off.
They'll even talk about our work, but they won't acknowledge it's our work.
Oh yeah.
It's funny.
Well,
it's funny.
Teach your own, right? It's gonna be funny pretty soon. We'll see how they react to this.
Well, there's a lot of people in the academic community that deny this work, and they write papers on the stuff, but they got no products, they got no experimentation, they got nothing to show, and they're still touting their words. But yet, the proof's in the pudding. Nathan's got vanilla, I got chocolate. If you want a spoon,
yeah,
you know. And HeliArc, he's got kiwi. So, you want a spoon, man? We all have pudding here.
I'm gonna make a video about it. I've kind of thought about it, but back when I was thinking about how I was gonna do this, like I already knew that it was that I was gonna come up against certain people that would try to say it's fake or this or that. And my answer is going to be real simple. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah.
I think I already have.
You've been doing it all day.
It's going to be essentially, fuck you. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for them. That's what it's going to be, because I don't care. I don't have nothing to prove to them. They didn't pay for any of this. So I'm doing it for the little guy. I'm not doing it for the big YouTubers. I don't give a shit about them.
Damn straight.
I mean, I wouldn't mind them talking bad about me so I could get the traffic. But other than that, I don't care. They try to ask me to meet them or something. I'm going to just say, fuck you. I don't care about whether or not you believe what I'm doing. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter. I don't give a shit about trying to prove anything right. Let the people do it. Let the people that actually start building it and start feeling it and seeing it and noticing it, let them decide on what's real and what's not real. They don't need you.
Yep.
You know, you don't need anybody to tell you what to believe. As in the viewers, y'all don't need nobody to tell you. You can figure it out. You think for yourself. Like, and I know some people may say, well, I do think for myself. It's like, well, think deeply about it. Do you really? Like, do you ever find yourself offended if someone says something that you don't believe in? Because that's it. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, you got to
could
be
be
critical of some of
anything.
these things.
Yeah, well, and it's a natural response. It's not unusual, but you just got to try to keep an open mind. Just try your best to say, you know, hey, let me tell you something that Tim told me when he first started, because he built a little ringer. We called it a MEG, but it was a little ringer. It was a little ferrite ring. He built it. I think it is like a long time ago, like over 20 years ago, probably, because he's been doing this a long time. He made a little ringer, and he said he could get it to self-run for about 50 seconds. And it didn't matter if he had a load on it or not. It would die after 50 seconds. He had a pretty big chip on it. I think it was a 3055. So it wasn't getting hot. He couldn't figure out why it would die at 50 seconds. But he could also pull 400 milliamps at 5 volts out of it for that 50 seconds. And not any more than that, but it would still last 50 seconds. And he just had a push button on it. And then he said he put it in a wax somewhere. And buried it in a candle so it would never move. But what he did, the approach he took was he was like, you know what, I'm gonna take what I think makes sense, and I'm gonna try stuff that makes no effing sense, and then I'm gonna just start putting stuff together and see what happens. And he started to do it, and he started to get an effect. So he went further and started to take a file and take a little bit of material out and slowly inch a magnet in there until it set up a self-running condition.
Nice.
And he's probably mad at me. I told you all that, but he doesn't have any content on that one. But yeah.
I wonder
Other
if
than
he'd
that
want to come
description.
on. Is he a secretive guy?
He
like
might.
you?
He might come on. He'll probably think about it.
Well,
me and him might do one too. But I could probably try to get him to come on with y'all. That'd be cool if we could all of us be on.
So here's the
Tim.
invitation, and I'm sure that Nathan agrees. If you'd like to come on,
Absolutely.
Tim, please do.
Yeah, we'll talk
Am I
about
wrong?
it. Y'all would
No,
love
come
Tim.
on in.
You have
Come
no
on, talk
idea
with us.
some of the stuff this guy's done. I don't know how much he'd be willing to say, but it's a lot.
Maybe we should do a show
It's a
with
lot.
Tim, and he can figure out what he wants to share and what he doesn't want to share, and then maybe if he's up.
Well,
to it,
no, he can throttle that. I mean, he's not worried about that. It's just getting him on here and to dedicate 2.5 hours. So
I hear you.
He does a lot of stuff and he works real hard.
Well,
so.
look, I'll be honest with you. If he wants to come on and just spend an hour and do an interview in the backstage and then we release it, absolutely. I'll do that with him.
Yeah, we could do something like that where he comes on for a minute, 30 minutes or an hour even maybe. Maybe we took
whatever he wants to do, I'll do it. You got it.
Yeah, Nathan and this group's thing is trying to get more people in here to display their work, discuss it, and show it to the public as much as possible. And I think if more of us sort of get together in that way and start sharing in that way, a lot more people will see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yep.
This is the first time I've used this app thing, the SteamYard. So once I figure out how to do more, I might be able to hook a camera up to this and then do stuff, show y'all stuff actually live. You know what I mean? But I have to look into it. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I think if I just plug a webcam in, I could do that. Like pan a camera around for like a moment. Yeah.
Should be able to, yeah.
Well, you have StreamYard now, so you got the free version. Just let us know and we'll pop on with you if you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give me a little commentary while you're working.
Or we can shut up and be in the background.
Yeah,
Whatever
we
you
can
want.
do that. I don't know
I
that
don't
Joe
have to be
can shut
involved
up.
at all, man.
No, I don't. No, that's not true. Oh, I got something.
Yeah. No, I don't have to be there.
Yeah.
I know. I'm messing with Joe.
So is there any other questions?
Ben,
Any of you guys or any of the viewers have any questions before we? I guess we're probably going to wrap this up soon. We're going on after 2 hours. I can talk forever,
pretty
man,
much tried to find
my girlfriend's waiting on me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you got to go, man, you got to go. We appreciate you.
Yeah,
stopping
well, I
and
told her
hanging out
2.5
with us.
hours, so I better stick to it because otherwise it doesn't work out real well.
Yeah, no, we understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
we
just
all get it.
appreciate you for taking the time and coming on and showing us, all that awesome stuff that you have working, or you're working on.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
seriously,
you're welcome
man.
to come
Do it
back
again.
anytime.
Yeah, I'd like to get Joel on here too. I'd like to maybe be on here with Joel one of these days.
Oh, we should get you guys together, huh?
Joel did
Yeah,
say
well,
he's gonna
no, I
come back.
talked to him a little bit in the email. Yeah, Joel's cool. Yeah, he and his presentations have gotten pretty good. Like he's doing pretty good up there.
His last
I
one on
think-
dielectrics
yeah,
was good. I like that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, Sean's doing dielectrics too, so maybe we set it up on a Wednesday because Sean would be awesome in this conversation if you guys go down that route. It'd be totally cool.
Sean's an awesome comments guy too. He follows it better than we do.
He's unbelievably good.
Yeah, he's good at it. So
Yeah. Oh, good. Cool. Cool, man.
So yeah, we should. Joel, if you're watching, we're reaching out. You got to come back on the show, man. You're awesome. We need some combo.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're just gonna Wednesday. Sean's in again. We're gonna be doing some stuff there. Gerald, we're gonna be talking about your coil a lot on Wednesday as well.
Oh no,
Dan, you got some circuits for us and stuff for Wednesday? I know you just got your big break.
Yeah,
I don't really have a circuit, but I can show you more about the Jewel Thief if you'd like.
I want to see, if you don't mind, Ben, maybe we can start a little bit early, and I want to go over how you hit your 300 mark, or I think it was 300 volts, right?
Yeah,
you hit
I can
150.
walk you through the process.
Yeah, let's do that because I want to hear about that. He hit a lot.
Yeah, I'll walk you through the
200,
process
right?
of do what?
You hit 220 or 217 or something like that?
So I was putting in 14 volts into the coil, and I got out 330 volts.
Oh.
And and it was humming so loud when I didn't. So as I am plugged in the load, the amperage on the input dropped. So it was like tuning itself, for efficiency. It was so.
See?
You're there.
Yeah, you're there. Didn't we tell you the whole time it was in the load?
Yep, you said it. And it was, I was using the right cap. It was just the wrong frequency. And it's only that one little frequency, that one little range.
Ben, we said it, but you did it.
That's right, you did.
Man. Okay? It doesn't matter where the information comes from. We're just guys in a basement, in a garage, just playing with some tech, right? But you did it. Okay, so
yeah, this is. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is big. We lit 4 neon lamps with that 14 volts. It was pretty cool.
Okay, guys, we got to end the show. HeliArc's got some dates to go on right now.
Yeah, we're gonna get him in trouble. That's no good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the chat. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
it was nice meeting you, HeliArc. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, you guys too, man. We'll come back. We'll come back.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Right, take it easy.